Welcome back, everybody, to Aces53. Normally it's Ed Parco and myself. Ed is not joining today, but that's okay because it's a Joker Thursday. So what does that mean? That means that we're going to bring in another industry expert to kind of talk about how they do it differently. What's their skill set? What did they learn to differentiate themselves from everyone else? This week, we've been talking a lot about prospecting. So it'll pop up the banner here. I am going super slow today, so I apologize for that in advance. Let's see. Normally, this is why we have Ed here. He can help run that part. So why is prospecting hard? Because it's a challenge for everybody. It's time consuming, and it's really hard to do when you're first starting out in the business. So who do we bring in today? We brought in Joe Ingram. So let me bring in Joe. All right. So Joe and I actually met through a mastermind back in 2019, and he's been nice enough to join us today. Today's Joker. A little bit about Joe is Joe's a highly accomplished 30-year sales innovator. He's done over 1.4 billion with a B dollars in sales. He's got extensive knowledge in not just sales, but human psychology, communication styles, buying triggers, how to work on e-commerce. He works in a variety of industries. And what he figures out is what normally takes people months to do, how can they shrink that down? Usually it takes people years to do, down to months to do. So Joe, we'll let you kind of talk a little bit more about that. Probably the thing what most people know you for is you're more of an edutainer. Did I say it the right way?
It's edutainment is the right word. Yes. So edutainer works as well.
Right. And so when you come in, you kind of entertain people while you're also teaching them a valuable skill. So with that being said, jump on in. Welcome in, Joe.
Thank you so much. So the concept of the edutainment means, can you make it fun and not the talking head yelling at somebody? I come from, I train in a whole bunch of industries, but a lot of my success came up and through criminal defense and into automotive. And so when I was in automotive, right, everybody's already got a bad idea in their head of the salesperson, the person reaching out, and you're trying to steal my wallet and things like that. And it's like, okay, I'm not. What I'm trying to do is I like to break down and say, you know what, people can't really hear what's in your heart. They can't hear what you're trying to teach them or the information you want to get across because their ego stops them. Mm-hmm. Right. And I say, so if my ego is huge and your ego is in defense mode, right, we don't get anywhere. And we have a bad experience and they get to leave and say it's typical of a sales experience. And then we go, okay, yeah, that makes sense. So instead, the answer was, what if I could break down that barrier by getting them to laugh? If I was more entertaining than I was dictatorial to say, you have to do this, or this is what you have to go through. So in making someone laugh, what I realized, as soon as you laugh, the ego steps aside. And then when I go to train people, I'm training them, the information can get in. Okay. And so the information sneaks in around the ego because we're enjoying ourselves and laughing. And they're like, oh, this person is somewhat real. Right. And in building rapport, I have to find something that does that. What can I get around that as opposed to me just going, hey, buddy, and start cussing with you. And you're like, what happened? How did we all of a sudden get to that? But one of the things we brought up today is that it's about prospecting. How do you go out, especially when you're starting? Okay. So I've been up and running since 2017 full time in my training company. Prior to that, I was an employee that did training on the side for other people. So the answer was, how do you go in as a solopreneur? How do you prospect? But you also got to handle the lead that you created. And then you got to go deliver whatever it is you're trying to deliver as far as that package, that service and what have you. And then also handle any heat that comes in. So there's, 24 hours a day. What are you doing between 2 and 5 in the morning? You got plenty of time to handle heat, emails, and prospect. But I try to make things. My answer is, if it's going to be difficult, right, then I have to set aside time to do it. If it's something I can do that is more fun and I gamify it, then it makes it easier for me. And so that's what I look at and say, okay, so you have on your top 5, right? Identify the right prospects. Mm-hmm. These things are pretty easy. Now, again, are you business to consumer? Are you business to business? For example, the business to consumer, I would be out on social sites that focus on people. So I can go find the people that I like to deal with. And it's typically going to be somewhere on your friends list. You'll be able to identify who it is you like. Okay. Right. And you can say those are the people. But on LinkedIn, it's really easy. On LinkedIn, you can go in, if it's business to business, go type in the title of the person that you want. Okay. And go, okay, I'm looking for, so in automotive space, I was always saying, I got to talk to a general manager or a dealer principal, because I've identified it. Those are the people that can say yes. Understand, in every company, there's typically 2 people that can say yes without talking to somebody, right? And everyone else in the company is authorized to say no. Okay. And that's where we miss it, because we go, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get in with the receptionist, and then she'll sneak me up the chain. The receptionist has been told, I don't want any BS calls. Yeah, I don't want any of this stuff. So then it's like, okay, why would I go and trust my livelihood to the receptionist who's been instructed to play gatekeeper? So you got to find that way around people. You got to find the way to get to somebody. On LinkedIn, everybody's on LinkedIn bragging about their business accomplishment. Nobody gets on there and goes, yeah, I'm kind of mediocre and I don't really do anything, right? They're not there. They're going, oh, look, I'm fantastic at this. I'm fantastic at this. And what do we know when somebody's telling you how fantastic they are? It's ego, right? Let's jump in. 100%. Let's send a message. One of the best things you could do is refer back to something they said they're proud of, right? When I go to prospect with you. So when I'm on LinkedIn and I'll go click and say here, and you can do this on Facebook, Instagram, anywhere, people are talking about, like, what's at the top of your profile? The little things, the little highlights of you, right? And then hopefully a link to get somebody to find you. But you have all of these highlights. So if you say, I've done this, 20-year guy who did this, blah, blah, right? If somebody puts in their bio, like 10-year veteran of blah, blah, blah. If they say U.S. Army veteran, Marine veteran, you know, those kind of things, that would be my intro as I go to prospect, right? I'll reference that and say, thank you for your service. What are they going to say? I hate you. I hate you. Shut up, right? They're never going to say that. They're going to look at it and go, wow, at least you took time. The things that we get frustrated with is these automated systems that go out, right? The automated system will go out and just send everybody a blank the same canned message. Okay. I love on LinkedIn, because this is how my brain works. I love getting that email that says, hi, Dave, I do this, this, and this. Can we set up a meeting? Here's our calendar link so we can have conversation for 15 minutes. And then I answer back and go, wow, I was the one guy that would have bought every single thing you had to sell. Except I'm not Dave. Maybe the copy paste project isn't the best way for you if you can't keep names straight.
You bring up an interesting point. We had a conversation in your mastermind. You have the War Games group that's on Wednesdays, and you brought in an expert yesterday from Leadium was the company. And they actually have, instead of saying a salesperson should do it all, they segment out who's going to contact somebody on LinkedIn versus who's going to contact somebody on email versus who's good on the phone. That was a unique perspective, because coming from 14 years of being in sales, they just like, hey, you're an account manager, you're an account executive, you should learn how to do it all. That was the first time I've heard of people, they go, no, we're going to divide everything up by skill set. And then that's how we're going to prospect for our customers, is on that individual skill versus, well, we'll hire people that should be universal experts. What were your thoughts on that?
No, I love that. And in the fact, like I train people for, you know, phone, I call it in the automotive space, it's phone, floor, and internet. Okay. The floor person is great face-to-face. Sometimes you can find a floor person that has good enough words that they can be on the phone too. They can separate themselves.
Right.
Usually it doesn't work well. The floor guys are the floor guys. And then you'll have a separate team or a separate group of people that deal with the virtual prospect, the ones that have to be good on the phone and have to be good via text and email. And so I set these up as I go around the country in Canada, is to go in and say, here, let's go put the people in with the right skill sets into the right positions so that we can get success. Sometimes I don't even have a salesperson. I do your job is to answer the lead and get to that point where you can set an appointment for somebody. Mm-hmm. And then they're like, okay, well, who do I set it for? I'm like, the floor guy, the guy who's great face-to-face. If we're bringing him into the company, go drop him off with the guy who's fantastic out there. Okay. Because we all know you could put a computer programmer is never going to be your best salesperson.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. Because he's going to be in the details, do it. I always laugh and say, I never want to put a technician that works on vehicles into the service drive where you bring your car in to drop it off, because he'll spend 45 minutes explaining to you how the engine works and all you wanted was an oil change. And you're like, please stop, right? I don't care where the oil goes and what have you. I just want my oil changed. And so, again, you have to identify who you're looking for. The first thing is find the title, go search for the person. Okay, that's the easiest thing to do. I use little cheat code things right now. Thanks to AI, prospecting is getting a lot easier. Okay, you did my show the other day. I took your video. I got massive response when I went to an AI tool and said, could you rewrite the YouTube title and description for these things that will cause somebody to click and learn, right, more? And then they were like, and it goes, spits it out. And I doubled views in like 2 days from where it was before. Really? Yeah. And it's like, okay, so I use this little cheap thing. So if you're an entrepreneur, you're out there right now going, it's me and myself and that's my 3-person team that I got to do things with, right? I go to a website called AppSumo, right? It's appsumo.com. So I go to AppSumo. AppSumo is for the entrepreneur, okay? And then I go in and say, if I go to AppSumo, I go lead generation. That's what I type in. And I bought a program called Luna.
Right.
So Luna is an artificial intelligence. I went in, told Luna, here's the companies I can work with. Here's what I'm doing. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to go after one niche right now. So if I'm going to go for software companies, video game companies, right? If I can go for let me just stick with automotive. It's my core bread and butter. I have other trainers that I can send out. So I typed in automotive dealerships, what size the company, this and that, and it brings back a list. So it goes out on socials, goes out, finds people, and brings them back into this profile. What it also does is it reads their About Us page and grabs something to highlight. So it'll come back and go, I think it's great that you have been serving your community for over 50 years with the highest customer satisfaction, whatever they were bragging about. And it says, but do you have an issue with this or this? Right. Because if you do, my company's the one that can help you. And then I sit down. But so to me, it's not difficult, but it'll pull up automotive companies that they're in the automotive space, but they're not the dealership group that needs to be trained. But okay, so how many times do you pull out your phone and start scrolling because you're bored?
Oh, so me all the time.
Right. But we go to social and look for something. So I change the dopamine hit. I go over and I launch Luna. Okay. And again, there's a whole bunch of different programs that are on there, but they're all lifetime deals. Right. Okay. So so the lifetime deal, when you go, okay, I paid $49 for something and I have it for life with all the updates. So then I go, oh, that's a wonderful thing for me. I'll just take it and run. And then I always have it to keep going. But like this is Luna, right? It's opening up and it's showing me the person it found. It wrote an email for me. Okay. It's got the person stuff in there, but it says, Hi, this is your provider is electric vehicle charging solutions. And I go, I don't want to sell to electric charging solutions. So I just hit the X and then it starts learning.
Ah, okay.
Okay. So now I get a dopamine hit when I find one that matches. And I'm
Right.
like, ooh, hey, you know what? This is a dealership group. So this one's the general manager of this company, right? And I go, okay, I read through and I go, click, send the email. And then it pops up and says email scheduled, and it goes out immediately from my email because it's connected to my Outlook. So when they reply, it comes back in to that. And I'm like, this is great. But it's always learning. It's always paying attention. And I change the words so that the next time it comes up, there'll be another set of words. But it's got probably 8 different things that it's learned from me. And it's putting it together to do that. And so, yeah. And to me, but again, that becomes the little game. That becomes the little, ooh, I sent out 50 prospecting emails. In the same time, I would have watched 20 stories on Instagram or gone through the post and scrolled and put an extra mile on my thumb that's going through. But this is going to build me business. I get people answer back, stop. I don't get upset and go, oh no, they hate me. No, we all get that.
Right. So I did put in the link here for what you're talking about. It is Luna. You can just go to AppSumo, type in Luna, Luna. You can find it. It is still available on their website. And what you're talking about is great. And that is actually what is number 4 on the list. Well, first you're talking about how do you build relationships. So you talked about reaching out to prospects. How do you build the relationships when somebody responds back?
So the only reason somebody responded back was because your outgoing message had something that intrigued them. Right. And I already said, when you reach out to them, if you're using something like this that has pulled their success in, right. So you have to have the success that you're, doting on them for accomplishing. Okay. Because as soon as you get a compliment, you automatically like that other person. And if I've never mentioned, what's the best thing can happen? You walk into an event and somebody goes, hey, facial analysis guy. Right. Whether they know your name or not, you don't care. Right. And so immediately you're like, I'm recognized. So what I'm doing is recognizing them for what they said was important to them that they accomplished. So now I'm already in the like zone. Okay. So they're already starting to like me. Now I'm going to tease you with this is what I help companies with. Right. Do you experience this? And if we could solve this, would that help your bottom line?
And you brought up something earlier in that somebody DM'd you or, what somebody sends out. People love hearing their own name. And if you screw up their name, oh, that's a tough one. If somebody has got a difficult name to say, it's like, ooh, that's why I stick to first names a lot, because nobody can say Galky, right? Galk, Galek, you name it.
Right.
Brad Lee is one of the only people who's ever said my name right the very first time out. Everyone else calls me Galk. Even Steve Sims, I've been working with him for a year, still calls me Galk. But it is what it is. So to your point, when you're recognizing not just who they are, like you don't recognize just their face, you recognize their name and their accomplishments, that goes a long way into building rapport with somebody else.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm a risky one. I take the risk of so if it's out, most of my social media is Joe Ingram sales so that you can find me across the board. But my name is Joseph. Right. Wow. And so something like if you're going on Facebook, it's facebook.com/Joseph Ingram. Right. Because in the beginning, I wasn't even thinking. I was like, this is my name. Let me type it in. Right. And it was like, you have it available. Oh, it's yours now. And I was like, okay, great. That should tell you how old I am. Right. That my name was available. And so I was like, okay, great. But then I go by Joe. So I try to put it all on there. But a lot of people leave their full name.
Right.
In their business profiles. So if you're going to leave your full name, I automatically shorten it to what I know the shorter name is. I would email me out and say like, hey, Joe. Right. Or I'd put Joe. I wouldn't put Joseph because that'll be a trigger that you don't know me. You're just using the stuff.
That it sounds like you're in trouble. Somebody uses your full name versus a nickname when you're in trouble. Right. That's one of your quotes is never be normal. Normal people get normal paychecks.
Yep.
Right. And that's a good point that you've got is you'll take risks, calculated risks, right? But
Yes.
where is it worth taking a risk and where is it not? And you're very much an outside the box thinker in how you approach things. Like we talked about earlier, you study human psychology, communication, you name it. So you've even gone on, when you're building relationships with someone, talk about the squaring up of shoulders depending on who's in front of you.
Oh, absolutely. So as soon as you get somebody in front of you or on Zoom, right? And that's one of the things people forget. This is meant to simulate face-to-face. Wow, I just moved around. Mm-hmm. Yes. So in looking at this, guys, if I'm sitting a man to man, that's sitting across from me, men don't square our shoulders. If somebody says, oh, look, man, he's squaring up, that means we're squaring our shoulders. But what does that mean? It means we're getting confrontational. Okay. And so now as a guy, if you look and there's anytime there's 2-3 guys standing outside anywhere, it doesn't matter if it's a business setting or social setting, things like that. Everybody, all the men look like they have a 2x4 in front of them and they're only allowed to touch the ends of the wood. Okay. So they're like, oh no. So it makes these funky looking stars because everybody is making sure that their shoulders are not squared up with someone else. You can really make a guy uncomfortable across the room that hasn't seen you yet if you stand directly and square your shoulders with that individual. You don't have to look. You can do this. The person will shift because unconsciously that is confrontation. And you don't have to be right next to somebody to do that. So when I'm sitting here, so if you look at Brian and I, when we're both side by side on the screen, our shoulders pivot. Mm-hmm. We don't sit here and go square up, dead center.
What does that mean?
Go through. Exactly. Right. But now understand, with a woman, when you're dealing with a woman, squared shoulders is honesty. Right. If you think about this, watch any movie that's out there, remember back, to your own personal experiences. Anytime a woman has a secret she wants to tell to somebody or to say, oh my gosh, this just happened, I'm so excited, whatever, they grab their friends by the shoulder or they run upstairs, jump on the bed, sit Indian style, right? Knee to knee, shoulder to shoulder. If you're driving and you have the woman next to you, she always twists towards you while you're driving. You're driving facing forward. And you're like, okay, I'm driving forward. And then unconsciously, because she keeps shifting, then you realize as you're driving, you go, yes. And you start turning towards them so that they can understand that you're there. Otherwise, you're lying. You're being dishonest when you look towards the window with the windshield. So you got to understand that to build that relationship with somebody, I have to do key physical things. I have to do things that are audible. Okay, the physical things they'll be able to see, right? Match and mirror. You have 3 to 5 seconds to match and mirror somebody. So if somebody's sitting like this, talking to you, then you can move your hands up. Now, I can put my hands here like they do it, or I can put my hands on the desk the same way. It doesn't have to be, well, it's right in front of their chest, so it has to be there, right? If they're doing this, right, I could literally do the same thing, just doing it on my shoulder as opposed to anything else. Okay. And so you can do it again. A lady spinning her hair, I can spin my finger while I'm sitting at the desk, right? And spin my finger. Her brain will pick up, hey, that's like me. And we like people that are like us. But speed at which you talk, the tone in which you speak, right? One of the biggest things to build rapport with somebody is to use their words back to them. Okay. And I don't mean parroting. I don't mean you go, that was great. And I go, that was great. Yeah. No, that's not what I'm looking for.
You're not going to do Chris Fox, never split the difference.
Right. We're not going, you do need to parrot back to them certain things. Right. But what I want to say is that if you're talking to somebody and the guy says to you, right, it's sales. They're like, well, I'm going to need, a significant discount.
Right.
Okay. So now they're going to start saying, I need a significant discount. I can sit there and go, oh, no, that's a rejection. You don't like me. You don't think it's worth the value. No, they're just trying you on for size. Okay. My answer back isn't always do huge discounts. Don't worry. And you're like, what? Why would you say that? Well, for one, it showed you didn't listen to the person because they wanted a significant discount. To you, significant means huge. That's
Right.
not the case. Okay. So it's not the case. So then I'm going to go back. If you said that to me, I would go, well, if anybody could supply you with a significant discount, it'd be me. So you're talking to the right person. And we go through. Okay. So now I'm just simply bouncing around and talking to them in the way that they're talking to me. So, right. If I'm looking, you know what? I'm looking for, out of this world results. I have a friend that's his thing. I don't ever use that unless I'm talking to him. Right. If I go, dude, the most amazing thing happened. He goes, uh-huh. If I said, dude, most out of this world thing happened, he'll be like, what? And he leans in because it's his words. So are you using their words in the same context that they're using it so that you remind them of them? Right. Yeah. The rejections, I laugh. A rejection just means you haven't built the value yet. Okay. It could be the wrong time. Right. No deal is worth it if I can't do anything with it. I have somebody reach out today. It was like, hey, are you ready to do this? And I said, look, I got so many plates spinning right now. Give me till, the 15th of May. Reach back out to me and let's talk about that. They could turn around. If you came back at me, if I told you this is what I want, and then you came back to me and said, but we could make your life so much easier between now and May 15th, right? You lost me.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, go ahead, just lose my number then. Because I don't have a problem telling you I don't want to. So
there's such a push of the one call close right now. I think that's where a lot of people blow it, is they don't build a relationship because they think it's a numbers game only. And that's lost to me. I get it. There's some things that is the case, right? Like you're knocking door to door, but even when you're knocking door to door, there's people that need time to think things through. And not just they're going to immediately think, because some people suffer from buyer's remorse, right? But there is that push. When I first got into sales, it was, well, bring a copy of the contract with you and throw it in front of the customer right then and there. And that's kind of how you get a bad name, especially in an industry that it's long-term sales cycles, right? That have to be earned over time. It looks like you don't have the confidence to build a relationship and you feel like you've got a one shot and that's it. And don't get me wrong, you should try. If you feel like it's moving in the right direction, absolutely close the deal right then and there. But that's not the only solution with something. Right. But, and that kind of goes into the next one, which is dealing with rejection. That is the hardest part about prospecting. You can't take it personally. You have to go in knowing that it's almost like they use the analogy for baseball, right? You hit 3 out of 10, it's good. In sales, it may be less than that. And on average of open rates of emails, everything else, if you get 20%, you're a rock star, Yeah.
Well, the average consumer is going to get about 100 emails a day. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so of those 100 emails, they'll open 23 of them.
Right.
But they will only click or take action on 2 of those emails. Right. Yeah. And that's reply or click on a link that's in the thing or watch a video that's in it. So that's 2%. So if you do know the numbers, the answer is, how do I improve the conversion? Because I don't want to do more, right? We also have that other friend of ours that says, you want to double your income, double your work. And I'm like, let's sharpen the axe there, buddy. Right? Let's sharpen the axe so I do more damage with each stroke. Right. Not continue to just keep beating the trees down.
That's kind of the Dave Ramsey approach, right? Like, well, if you want to get out of debt, just don't spend money. There's different ways. It's like, well, you can make more money, but they don't talk about that. He's kind of like, oh no, just stop spending everything altogether until all your debt's gone.
Right. And understand, he resonates with like 23% of the population.
Yes.
Because those people are the conservatives, the savers, let me look for ROI.
Right.
Okay. They're also the people that don't go spend money on vacations.
Yes.
Because they're like, that doesn't make any sense. Memory? No, that's not worth enough.
Especially, I forget the Disney movie now, but there's the core memories that the kids have. I'm sorry, I'm going to take my kid on vacation, even if I'm going to put it on a credit card. Is it the right thing to do? Like financially the smartest, responsible thing? No. But you never know. I mean, I have a friend who was literally run over by a garbage truck in New York City and almost died crossing the street with the crosswalk. So I think you have to find that happy balance of, don't go ridiculously in debt to do things, but create those core memories.
Right. But rejections, everybody needs to understand this. You get 100 emails a day.
Mm-hmm.
You go through, you pick which ones you open. Does that mean you absolutely hate, despise, and believe the people that sent you the other 80 emails, right, are evil in some way? No. So why are you over here getting all hurt if somebody replied back stop, or somebody said unsubscribe, right? And you're like, I'm not even asking you to subscribe. I just sent you a prospecting email, right? I look and I go, I got you, right? You are off my list. That's one less person I have to worry about,
Yes.
right? And so to me, there's people that you reached out to, the people that reply, I got to move them into a separate location so I'm not fishing through everything, right? You could do this as simply as an Excel spreadsheet, right? I think, and if you look at it, you Google Doc, this person answered back, go copy paste their info onto a Google Sheet. And you're like, here's my next list of people I got to deal with, right? I use Outlook, right? And I'll put in Outlook folders.
Mm-hmm.
And then I name it step 1, cold outreach, step 2, replies, right? Step 3, go kill yourselves, replies, right? Stuff like that. And then I'm like, so somebody goes in there and goes, I hate you. I'm like, oh, go kill yourself, right? Sometime later on, you'll probably be okay with me, but I know I have you in that folder. So if you pop up, I'm like, ooh, that's a bad thing. But
well, then you can go to the total opposite extremes. There was one time you were sitting in somebody's office, and what they figure out 25 emails a day or something was that company's sweet spot.
Yes. Yeah.
25 emails per day from this person. This person's very successful, but that's what they figured out. Their metric was people will still, they may delete the emails, but they don't unsubscribe. Right.
Well, and again, that individual also said we sent 400 million emails to our database in a year.
Right.
And they said at my large event, the people that spent $40,000 or more to be there, right, to pay to be in the room with this individual, over half of them had unsubscribed.
Yeah.
And he said it wasn't that they didn't want the info. They wanted to go get it themselves. They did not want it force fed through their emails, through text messages, through, right, the constant version of contact that this individual likes to do. But his answer is for those that need it, because it used to be 7? It was 7 actual points of contact before somebody felt comfortable enough to purchase from a company.
Right.
Right. That's why if you could get some dead time off of a cable company, then you'll get the same commercial that plays every time there's a break. Okay. If you pay for the cheaper end of Hulu where you get ads based on demographic, you're going to see the same car commercial. You're going to see the same restaurant commercial at every break in the show because those people paid there. And by the time you've seen the 7th one, you're like, maybe we should go there for dinner. Okay. So they're just force feeding you 7 as quickly as possible.
Well, and you know why it became more than 7 are like Facebook pixels and things where once, you hit my website, now you're going to see me forever and ever.
Oh, and, yeah. I'll retarget you till there's nothing left of you.
Yes. And that's what's interesting about what Ed and I are doing with this, with the Aces53, is we're trying to get back to a lot of the basics of sales because some people have forgotten what it's like to actually do work, because people are like, oh, I'll let the pixel do it. I'll handle it. People have gotten away from prospecting, especially the last 2 years, where if somebody wanted something, they came directly to you because there was a shortage of supply. And it's going to be a totally different world again here soon, because as things become more and more available, you have to sharpen your skills again. And a lot of people let their skills atrophy in a variety of ways. Like body language isn't as important, which is why we always talk about like Janine's book. I'm a huge fan of You Say More Than You Think, because that's about looking at your body language, because we've gotten so used to doing things over Zoom that when we're in person, people are awkward as F, man. It's hard. But
and I love Janine, and I will argue with her, right? We've been in the same room before to argue. But again, my answer is, if they say if you do this, that means you're closed off and you're trying to protect yourself and stuff. And I'm like, I know people that are very warm giving, but this is their comfort spot for their arms.
Yes.
right? And I'm like, so you have to be around the person enough. You can't just walk in the room and go, ha ha, you're angry, you're this. And you're like, well, yeah, if they're throwing things, right, and screaming, I can say you're angry. Yeah.
Right. And that's a great point. In both that book and the book, You Say More Than You Think, or sorry, What Everybody Is Saying by Joe Navarro, they talk about you have to understand what somebody's baseline is before you make a judgment about their posture. And
Yes.
that's exactly right. So I know we're coming up here on 35 minutes. So one of the things I want to make sure and hit is how can people find Joe? So right here, thegeniuslinks.com are all the different ways to get in touch with Joe. But Joe is a very interesting person because, you know, we talked earlier about he's done dealerships, right? He works with a ton of salespeople. You work with what, moving companies?
Moving companies, software companies, gaming industry, right? Anybody that needs to get a virtual prospect to do something. Yes. And nowadays, how many people are reaching out via DM, right? Email submission, forms on your website. How do you get them into the flow of getting out the other side as a sale or not? Mm-hmm. But I also wanted to point out too, the Joker thing, it works for me.
Well, I know. Well, your motorcycle helmet has the Joker on it.
Yes, exactly. And my motorcycle license plate is Joker Rocket. So I was like, hey, it's the Joker Joe Ingram. I got that. Yeah, that works.
Well, and the reason I bring up that you have all these different industries is you had to learn how to prospect based on what industry you were in, because it's not universal. So like I always talk about, my background was government type contracts. So they came out with an RFP, which is a request for proposal. You had to follow strict guidelines and who you're even allowed to contact or not contact. But you also had to learn prospecting isn't just about who's the contract holder, but who may be coming up within that government agency that you need to start talking to and interacting with lower level people who will eventually, you know, promote up to those higher levels and will be decision makers, because people that we had to get blind evaluation committees. So you may have an idea of somebody who may be in there. There may be an IT person, or there may be this type of person, that type of person, but you also didn't know. So you had to learn how to wear a lot of hats, because you may go in and it may be strictly a technical interview or presentation, or you may go in and it's going to be a financial presentation because they've already looked over your hardware, your software. Now you have to talk to the numbers people. And so you had to learn how to interact with a lot of different people. And that's the skill that you have to really study on your own, because most companies will teach you about their products, but not about the people that you interact with.
So, and one of the people we talked to, you and I did too, it was Humantic.ai. And Humantic was the company that goes out, finds your prospects, and then customizes things by personality type that the artificial intelligence went out and determined their personality so that you can write it in a style that would mean something to them.
I'm working with somebody right now who introduced me to Jasper.ai. And that's pretty crazy, because you can pick even the tone of your presentation. Do you want it to be witty? Do you want it to be sarcastic? Do you want it to be angry? And it's insane what type of AI is out there now. You know, Ed and I talk all the time about Chat GPT. We'll go in, like, that's how I got the top 5 here that we listed earlier. I just went this morning. I'm like, hey, let's pull something fresh. Went to Chat GPT and said, what are the top 5 problems with prospecting or challenges? And this is what popped up. Now, somebody brought up a great point. I was listening to an interview and they said, yeah, but how do you know what's the right answer? It's scrubbing the internet. So who is, and I know you're going to make a funny face when I say this, who's fact checking what the results are, right? Because you get in trouble all the time on this.
I've always fact checked until, you know, a year later when they go, no, it was true.
Yeah, that's right. So speaking of Ed, now he's not able to join us today, but one of the things I need to remind everybody is Ed's book came out this week. So it's a book on how to create personal wealth through home ownership. So everybody needs to go to getedsbook.com or look up Ed Parco on Amazon. So that released on Valentine's Day. So he is off and running to the races there.
For anybody who's out there, pay attention to how easy it is to find, you know, Ted's book.
Yeah.
Right. This is one of those things, you know, everybody laughs. They're like, Joe has a link for everything. And I'm like, yeah, if you want to go to my YouTube, it's joesyt.com. Because if you use YouTube, they're going to get you, right? Joe's Facebook, fb.com, right? I make up all these things. My author page is Joe's authors page, right? Why would you do that? That's why I go to the Genius Links. Everything is there. Absolutely. Make it easy for people to buy from you, but make it easy. So get tedsbook.com is brilliant.
Get Ed's
because
book. No
get
teeth.
Ed's book.
Ed's
So
book.
sorry. Yeah. Ignore that. Cut that up in post-production.
I'm sure Ed's book is amazing as well. But
Yes.
Ed's book.
Yes. Get Ed's book. Yeah, that's because I had to read and talk at the same time. So, but that's just easy, because if somebody said, well, how am I supposed to get Ed's book? You're like, that's a valid question that has an answer right there.
You love to do affiliate marketing, and isn't all your stuff joined in the name of what it is?
It's exactly what it is. You go, okay, well, I want to use, you guys are using StreamYard. I'm like, yeah, join StreamYard.com. Exactly. Right. And they're like, what? And I'm like, that way, what do you want to do? You want to join something, and I'll give you the name that goes in. And that's but now the link that it points to is something ugly, right? Yeah. That you would never want to try to give to somebody and go, here, this is my code. Yeah. But
we're all about easy now. I mean, I saw a funny meme the other day. It said, I was telling my kid that we used to have to print out maps on paper on how to get places. They're like pirates,
Yes, that's awesome.
It used to be difficult. You used to have to get anywhere. You used to have to go line by line, page by page. Now you just get redirects for everything. So it doesn't matter. Like you said, if you have an ugly website, go to Bitly and shorten it. Or, go and buy like you've got here, you've got the Genius links, right? And where does that take people? It takes people to everything that you have.
Right.
So we'll pop back up here. So rather than tap link or list tree what you name it, Joe went out and he bought a domain. He redirects it to make it easy for people to get there. And we didn't talk about this earlier, but that is how you're known on most platforms, is the sales genius, because of the over 1.4 billion in sales. And in a variety of industries. So you're not a one-trick pony where you were successful in just one organization, but it's several. And the fact that you've been in this industry for so long, a lot of names that people would recognize this day and age, Grant Cardone, Ken Walls, Brad Lee, Greg Reed, are all people that you've interacted with and talked with on a peer-to-peer level, not just paid to have a seat in their audience, right?
Right, absolutely. Right. And again, a lot of these people, it's easy for me to participate because we're friends as well, right? Exactly. And so it's like, okay, I don't have an issue with helping Grant make more money by going to an event, right? I'm there. Hi, Grant, we're here. Hey, blah, blah, blah. We'll have a conversation, go over. But at the same time, if you make money, that's fantastic.
Right.
Right. So I bought your course.
Yeah, exactly. That's true. Get Ed's book and buy my course. That's a win-win for everyone.
Right there, right? BuyBrian'sCourse.com.
You know what? Yeah. I need to do that. That's
now you need to get it. Yeah.
Well, I'll talk to you offline. That was something Greg Reed brought up today. But yes. All right. So, hey, Joe, thank you for being on today. I know we're past our 40 minutes. You are Joe was nice enough to take time out of his busy day while he's at a client site to join us. So thank you for joining us here. Everybody go follow him at the Genius links that leads you to War Games Wednesday, to all of his programs, what he works on, you name it. And any parting words you want?
Go out and sell something. That's my tagline. Come on.
That is very true.
Without a sale, right? You don't have a business.
This is very, very true. All right. So we're going to end today. I can't find where I put Ed's link for his book. Oh, there it is. Get Ed's book, not Ted's. Make sure you get
Ed's book. Ed's book. Get Ed's book. This is all subliminal advertising. You guys can't hear me. Ed's book. Yeah.
That's right. All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll be back on Tuesday. Ed should be back with us then, and we'll see y'all then. Bye, everybody. All right. My computer